Beat procrastination now. The Science of Getting Things Done. Best productivity strategies from best-selling books. In this audiobook summary, we're going to show you the core concepts of 4 books. 1. Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. 2. Solving the Procrastination Puzzle by Dr. Timothy A. Cycle. 3. Stop Procrastinating, a simple guide by Niels Salzgeber. And 4. Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg. Let's start with the introduction. There is an invisible thief that steals more from us than all the burglars and con artists in the world combined. It doesn't take our money or our possessions. It takes something far more valuable. It steals our time. It steals our potential. It steals our dreams. This thief has a name you know all too well: procrastination. It's the quiet whisper that says, tomorrow. The seductive promise that you'll feel more like it later. It's the gap between intention and action, a chasm where our greatest ambitions go to die. We live in an age of unprecedented opportunity, yet studies show that chronic procrastination affects as much as 20% of the adult population, and for students, that number skyrockets to over 70%. It's an epidemic of someday. But what if you could catch this thief? What if you could reclaim your time, unleash your potential, and finally start living the life you've only dreamed of? What if the key wasn't to work harder, but to work smarter? To understand the very mechanics of why you delay, and to systematically dismantle the machine. In this audiobook summary, we are going on a journey deep into the heart of procrastination. We won't just skim the surface. We will dissect the strategies of 4 of the most brilliant minds on the subject. We will deconstruct the psychological traps, expose the myths, and provide you with a powerful, practical toolkit to conquer this inner demon once and for all. We'll start with the ruthlessly practical wisdom of Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog to learn how to tackle our biggest challenges head-on. Then, we will dive into the mind of a leading academic, Dr. Timothy Cycle, and his book, Solving the Procrastination Puzzle, to understand the emotional core of our delays. After that, we'll explore Niels Salzgeber's Stop Procrastinating to tame the monkey mind that sabotages our best intentions. And finally, we will uncover the groundbreaking science of tiny habits with Stanford's own B.J. Fogg, who will show us that the biggest changes in our lives come from the smallest steps. This isn't just about getting more done. This is about becoming the person you were meant to be. Are you ready to stop waiting and start living? Are you ready to discover how? Let's begin. Book 1, Eat That Frog, by Brian Tracy, The Tyranny of the Never-Ending To-Do List. A recent study by the McKinsey Global Institute found that the average knowledge worker spends 28% of their work week managing email and nearly 20% looking for internal information or tracking down colleagues who can help with specific tasks. Think about that. Nearly half the work week is spent not on productive, value-creating work, but on the busy work that surrounds it. We are drowning in a sea of triviality, swamped by an endless tide of tasks, responsibilities, and interruptions. And the honest truth? You will never get caught up. You will never clear the deck. This is the stark reality that Brian Tracy, a titan in the world of personal and professional development, forces us to confront. But instead of despair, he offers a powerful, liberating truth. You don't have to do everything. You just have to do the right things. Who is the man who delivered this game-changing philosophy? Brian Tracy is a Canadian-American motivational speaker and self-development author who has consulted for more than 1,000 companies and addressed more than 5,000 people in over 5,000 talks and seminars worldwide. He is the chairman and CEO of Brian Tracy International, a company he founded in 1984, dedicated to helping individuals and businesses achieve their goals. His life's work, distilled from decades of research and personal experience, culminated in the international bestseller, Eat That Frog, 21 Great Ways to Stop Procrastinating and Get More Done in Less Time. The book has sold over 1.6 million copies and been translated into 42 languages, becoming a foundational text for anyone serious about mastering their time and their life. The premise is deceptively simple, inspired by a Mark Twain quote. Eat a live frog first thing in the morning, and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. In this audio summary of Tracy's masterpiece, we will dissect what this truly means. We'll learn to identify our most important task, our biggest, ugliest frog, and develop the discipline to tackle it head-on. We'll explore the critical difference between being busy and being effective. We will uncover powerful, practical methods like the 80-20 rule and the ABCDE method to bring ruthless clarity to our priorities. And we will learn to leverage our personal powers to operate at peak performance. This isn't just about managing time. It's about managing your life. The frog on your plate. The core philosophy. What is your frog? Your frog is your biggest, most important task. It's the one you are most likely to procrastinate on, the one that looms over you, casting a shadow of anxiety on your day. But here's the secret Tracy reveals. It is also the one task that can have the greatest positive impact on your life and results at this very moment. Interesting, isn't it? The thing we most want to avoid is often the very thing that will propel us forward. So, what do most of us do? We dance around the frog. We check emails. We make another cup of coffee. We tackle the small, easy, insignificant tasks, the tadpoles, to give ourselves the illusion of accomplishment. We see people busy all day long, yet they seem to achieve very little. Why? Because they are working on the trivial many, not the vital few. They are mistaking activity for accomplishment. But what if you did the opposite? What if you made it a rule, a non-negotiable law in your life, to eat that frog first? Tracy's philosophy is built on this foundation of radical prioritization and disciplined action. And he gives us a second, even more profound rule. If you have to eat two frogs, eat the ugliest one first. This means, if you have two important tasks, you start with the biggest, hardest, and most important one first. You discipline yourself to begin immediately and persist until the task is 100% complete before you move on to anything else. Now follow this reasoning. When you complete a task, any task, your brain releases endorphins. It's a natural high, a feeling of being a winner. The more important the task you complete, the bigger the surge of energy, enthusiasm, and self-esteem. Can you imagine the feeling of knocking out your most daunting task before 10 a.m.? The rest of the day becomes a victory lap. This creates a powerful feedback loop. Tracy argues that you can become positively addicted to this feeling of success and contribution. You begin to organize your life around starting and completing important tasks, not because you have to, but because you crave that feeling of accomplishment. But this all hinges on one quality, a quality that separates the high achievers from the dreamers. What is it? Action orientation. The foundation, clarity, and written goals. Before you can even identify your frog, you must first do something most people never do. You must decide exactly what you want. Clarity, Tracy insists, is the single most important concept in personal productivity. Think about it. Why do we procrastinate? Often it's because of vagueness, confusion, and fuzzy-mindedness about what we're supposed to do, in what order, and for what reason. This mental fog is the breeding ground for delay. How do you cut through the fog? Tracy offers a rule so simple it's almost criminal. Think on paper. Only about 3% of adults have clear, written goals. And guess what? These people accomplish 5 to 10 times as much as people of equal or even better education and ability who have never taken the time to write them down. But how do you set goals that actually work? It's not just about writing a wish list. Tracy provides a powerful 7-step formula that can transform your life. Step 1. Decide exactly what you want. Be crystal clear. If it's a work goal, sit down with your boss and get on the same page about what is expected of you and in what order of priority. Remember, one of the worst uses of time is to do something very well that need not be done at all. Step 2. Write it down. A goal that is not in writing is merely a wish or a fantasy. It has no energy. Writing it down crystallizes it, gives it a tangible form you can see and touch. Step 3. Set a deadline. A goal without a deadline has no urgency. It's a someday goal, and someday never comes. A deadline is a fire under you. It forces you to act. Step 4. Make a list. List every single thing you can think of that you will have to do to achieve your goal. As new steps come to mind, add them to your list. This creates a visual roadmap and dramatically increases the likelihood you'll achieve your goal on schedule. Step 5. Organize the list into a plan. Now you organize that list by both priority and sequence. What must be done first? What is most important? Lay it out visually. This is your blueprint for success. Step 6. Take action immediately. An average plan that is vigorously executed is far better than a brilliant plan on which nothing is done. Execution is everything. Do something, anything. But start now. Step 7. Do something every single day. This is the key to building momentum. Resolve to do something every single day that moves you toward your major goal. Read a certain number of pages. Make a certain number of calls. Never miss a day. Once you start moving, keep moving. Can you see how powerful this is? Written goals motivate you. They stimulate your creativity, and they release your energy. They are the fuel in the furnace of achievement. The power of prioritization, the 80-20 rule, and the ABCDE method. So you have your written goals and a plan. You have a list of tasks for the day, but where do you start? The sheer volume can still feel overwhelming. This is where Tracy introduces two of the most potent prioritization tools you will ever encounter. First, the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. This principle states that 20% of your activities will account for 80% of your results. 20% of your customers will account for 80% of your sales. 20% of your products will generate 80% of your profits. And here's the kicker. 20% of your tasks will account for 80% of the value of what you do. Now think about your to-do list of 10 items. According to this rule, 2 of those items will be worth more than the other 8 items combined. And what's truly fascinating, each of those 10 tasks might take the exact same amount of time to accomplish. But 1 or 2 will contribute 5 or 10 times the value. And that task, the one with the most value, is your frog. But what do most people do? The sad fact is that most of us procrastinate on that vital few, the top 10–20% of tasks. We busy ourselves with the trivial many, the bottom 80% that contribute very little to our results. It's a trap. We feel busy, but we're not being effective. The rule, Tracy insists, is to resist the temptation to clear up small things first. Before you begin any task, you must ask yourself, is this task in the top 20% of my activities or in the bottom 80%? To make this even more practical, Tracy gives us the ABCDE method, a technique so simple and effective, it can make you one of the most efficient people in your field. You start with your list of tasks for the day. Then, you go down the list and place a letter next to each item before you begin. An A item is something that is very important. You must do it. There are serious positive or negative consequences if you do it or fail to do it. These are your frogs. If you have more than one A task, you prioritize them further. A1, A2, A3. Your A1 task is your biggest, ugliest frog of all. A B item is something you should do. But the consequences are mild. Someone might be a little unhappy, but it's not a crisis. These are the tadpoles. The rule? Never do a B task when an A task is left undone. Never get distracted by a tadpole when a frog is waiting to be eaten. A C task is something that would be nice to do, but for which there are no consequences at all. Phoning a friend, having coffee with a coworker. These activities have no effect on your work life. A D task is something you can delegate. The rule is to delegate everything you possibly can to free up more time for the A tasks that only you can do. And finally, an E task is something you can eliminate altogether, and it won't make any real difference. Often, this is something you do out of habit. Once you've applied this method, your day is perfectly organized. And what's the key to making it work? You discipline yourself to start immediately on your A1 task, and you stay at it with single-minded focus until it is 100% complete. This is the essence of eating your frog. Leverage, constraints, and personal power. You've identified your frog and you're ready to eat it. But how do you ensure you have the strength and stamina to finish the meal? Tracy provides a suite of strategies to maximize your personal effectiveness. First, you must focus on key result areas, KRAs. Why are you on the payroll? What are the specific, measurable results you have been hired to achieve? Every job can be broken down into 5 to 7 key result areas. These are the outcomes you absolutely, positively must get to fulfill your responsibilities. A KRA is something you are completely responsible for. If you don't do it, it doesn't get done. Once you identify your KRAs, you must grade yourself from 1 to 10 in each area. And here's a sobering truth. Your weakest key result area sets the height at which you can use all your other skills. This weakness acts as a drag on your effectiveness. So what do? You identify that weak skill and make a plan to become excellent in that area. Remember the question: what one skill, if I developed and did it in an excellent fashion, would have the greatest positive impact on my career? Find the answer and dedicate yourself to mastering it. Next, you must identify your key constraints. What is holding you back? What is the limiting factor that determines the speed at which you achieve your goals? In any process, there is a bottleneck, a choke point. Your job is to find it and focus all your energy on alleviating that single constraint. And here's where the 80-20 rule comes back. 80% of the constraints holding you back are internal. They are within you, your qualities, habits, or skills. Successful people always start by asking, what is it in me that is holding me back? They take complete responsibility. Finding and eliminating that key internal constraint is often the most important frog you can eat at any given moment. But what about when the task seems too big, too monumental to even begin? You take it one oil barrel at a time. Tracy tells a powerful story of crossing the Sahara Desert. The track was marked by oil barrels placed 5 kilometers apart. In the vast, featureless expanse, all they could see was the barrel they just passed and the next one ahead. And that was enough. They crossed the entire desert by simply focusing on getting to the next oil barrel. You can accomplish the biggest task in your life by disciplining yourself to take it just one step at a time. Don't be paralyzed by the 1,000-mile journey. Just take the first step. Finally, you must maximize your personal powers. Your raw material for performance is your physical, mental, and emotional energy. When you are fully rested, you can get 2, 3, even 5 times as much done as when you are tired. A major reason for procrastination is fatigue. To combat this, you must guard and nurture your energy levels. Get enough sleep, turn off the television, and get to bed by 10 p.m. during the week. Take one full day off every week where you completely unplug and recharge. Eat like a world-class athlete. High protein, low fat, low-carb breakfasts. Avoid sugar and junk food. The better you feel, the less you procrastinate, and the more eager you are to get the job done. The mind game, motivation, urgency, and single-handling. The final pieces of Tracy's puzzle are about mastering the inner game. It's about cultivating the mindset of a high performer. First, you must motivate yourself into action. How? By controlling your inner dialogue. Fully 95% of your emotions are determined by how you talk to yourself minute to minute. To keep yourself motivated, you must resolve to become a complete optimist. Look for the good in every situation. Seek the valuable lesson in every setback. And look for the solution to every problem. Talk to yourself positively. Say, "I like myself," and "I can do it," until you believe it. A positive mindset fuels your energy and makes you eager to get started and determined to keep going. Next, you must develop a sense of urgency. High performers have an action orientation. They launch quickly and strongly toward their goals. This creates an inner drive, an impatience that motivates you to get going and keep going. It feels like racing against yourself. When you move fast, you activate the momentum principle. It takes a lot of energy to get going, but far less to keep going. And the faster you move, the more energy you have, the more you learn, and the more competent you become. One of the most powerful ways to trigger this state is to repeat the words, "Do it now, do it now, do it now," over and over to yourself. Finally, and this is the culmination of all the other principles, you must single-handle every task. This is the key to high performance. Once you begin your most important task, you must work at it without diversion or distraction until it is 100% complete. This concentration can reduce the time required to complete a task by 50% or more. Why? Because the tendency to start and stop, to pick up a task and put it down, can increase the completion time by as much as 500%. Every time you return to a task, you have to refamiliarize yourself, overcome inertia, and get back into a productive rhythm. But when you refuse to stop, you develop energy, enthusiasm, and motivation. Persistence is self-discipline in action. And the more you persist, the more you like and respect yourself and the higher your self-esteem. Conclusion: your unlimited future. What have we learned from the master of productivity, Brian Tracy? We have learned that success is not a matter of luck or genius. It is a matter of discipline. It's about developing the habit of eating your frog, first thing, every single day. We've learned that clarity is king. By deciding exactly what we want, writing it down, setting deadlines, and making a plan, we create a roadmap that eliminates the confusion where procrastination thrives. We've learned to be ruthless in our prioritization, using the 80-20 rule to focus on the vital few tasks that deliver the most value, and the ABCDE method to organize our days for maximum impact. We've discovered the importance of identifying our key result areas and our internal constraints, and focusing our energy on strengthening our weaknesses and removing our bottlenecks. We've learned to break down daunting projects into manageable steps, to maximize our personal energy, and to cultivate the powerful mindsets of optimism and urgency. And finally, we've learned the ultimate secret: to concentrate single-mindedly on our most important task until it is 100% complete. This, Tracy tells us, is the true test of character and the cornerstone of high performance. The beauty of these principles is that they are all learnable skills. You can acquire them through practice and repetition over and over until they become second nature. As you practice them, you will not only conquer procrastination, you will be shaping your own character, becoming a stronger, more confident, more powerful person. Your future is not determined by your circumstances. It is determined by your habits. Make a decision today to practice these principles until they become a permanent part of who you are. With these habits of personal management, your future will be unlimited. Just do it. Eat that frog. Book 2. Solving the Procrastination Puzzle by Dr. Timothy A. Cycle. The feeling of not feeling like it. It's a universal human experience. You know what you need to do. You might even want to do it in a larger sense. You've set the intention. You've made the plan. But when the moment of action arrives, you just don't feel like it. A wave of resistance washes over you, a mix of boredom, anxiety, frustration, or dread. And in that moment, a negotiation begins in your mind. A voice whispers, Not now. Later, I'll feel more like it tomorrow. According to a vast body of research, what happens next in that crucial moment is the absolute core of the procrastination puzzle. The results of that inner negotiation separate those who achieve their goals from those who are perpetually stuck in a cycle of delay and regret. But what if that negotiation is rigged from the start? What if our understanding of motivation and willpower has been fundamentally flawed? This is the territory explored by Dr. Timothy A. Feichel, an associate professor of psychology at Carleton University in Ottawa, Canada, and one of the world's leading experts on the scientific study of procrastination. For over 2 decades, Dr. Feichel and his procrastination research group have delved into the psychological mechanics of why we become our own worst enemies, needlessly delaying the very actions that would improve our lives. His work, presented in his accessible and insightful book, Solving the Procrastination Puzzle, moves beyond simple time management hacks to reveal the deep emotional and cognitive roots of our reluctance to act. In this audio summary, we will unpack Dr. Feichel's groundbreaking research. We'll discover that procrastination is not a time management problem, but an emotion management problem. We'll explore the central idea that we procrastinate to seek short-term mood repair. We give in to feel good, to escape negative feelings associated with a task. We will dismantle the persistent myth that we'll feel more like it tomorrow by examining the science of effective forecasting, and we'll learn practical, research-backed strategies like the power of just getting started and the strategic use of implementation intentions to finally bridge the gap between our intentions and our actions. This isn't about finding more willpower. It's about understanding why our willpower fails and how to work with our own psychology, not against it. The heart of the matter, it's about feelings, not laziness. Let's begin by dismantling the biggest myth about procrastination. Procrastination is not a character flaw. It's not a sign of laziness. And it's definitely not a simple time management issue. So what is it? Dr. Feichel defines procrastination as the voluntary delay of an intended action, despite knowing that this delay may harm us. The key words here are voluntary and needless. This isn't about strategically delaying a task because you need more information. This is about deliberately turning away from something you know you should be doing. So, why do we do it? Why do we consciously choose a path that we know leads to more stress, poorer performance, and increased guilt? The single most important thing to understand, according to the research of Dr. Feichel and his colleagues like Roy Baumeister and Diane Tice, is this. Procrastination is a form of self-regulation failure driven by a desire to manage our emotions. It's about short-term mood repair. Let me break that down. When we face a task that is aversive, meaning it's boring, frustrating, difficult, or makes us feel anxious or resentful, we experience negative emotions. It feels bad. And our brain, particularly the limbic system, is hardwired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. In that moment, the impulse is to run away from that bad feeling. And what's the quickest way to feel better? Put the task off. The moment you decide, I'll do it tomorrow, you feel a wave of relief. The negative emotion dissipates. And that relief is a powerful, immediate reward. And what happens to behaviors that are rewarded? They get repeated. This is how the procrastination habit is formed and reinforced. We get caught in a loop, face an unpleasant task, feel negative emotions, anxiety, boredom, etc. Procrastinate to escape those emotions, feel immediate relief, the reward. Later, feel guilt and stress, which are more negative emotions. The next time you face an unpleasant task, the urge to escape is even stronger. This is why just telling yourself to be more disciplined doesn't work. You're fighting a deeply ingrained, emotionally driven habit. It's not a willpower problem in the way we usually think about it. It's an emotion regulation problem. We are, in essence, giving in to feel good now, at the expense of our future self. Can you see how this reframes the entire problem? It's not that you're lazy. It's that you're using a maladaptive coping strategy to deal with challenging emotions. The solution, therefore, isn't just about better planning. It's about developing better ways to cope with those feelings without derailing your goals. The tomorrow delusion. Why you won't feel like it later. Here is one of the most common and seductive lies we tell ourselves. I'll feel more like doing it tomorrow. It feels so true in the moment, doesn't it? We project a future version of ourselves who is motivated, energetic, and perfectly poised to tackle the task we're avoiding today. But as Dr. Feichel illustrates with a clever story about a sign in a Polish butcher's shop, today you pay and tomorrow you get it for free. That magical tomorrow never arrives. When tomorrow becomes today, we are the same person, facing the same task, and feeling the same resistance. Why are we so bad at predicting our future feelings? The science is called affective forecasting, and research by psychologists like Dan Gilbert shows we are systematically terrible at it. We have a powerful presentism bias. We mistakenly think that how we feel now is how we will feel later. When we decide to put off a task, our current mood is often positive. We've just been rewarded with relief. We feel good about our plan to be productive later. We are essentially making a decision from a hot emotional state, relief, about a cold future state, actually doing the work, and we get it wrong every time. So, what is the strategy here? Do we just try to become better emotional psychics? Dr. Feichel suggests a more practical, two-pronged approach. First, you can try a form of mental time travel. Vividly imagine the future situation. Don't just think, I'll write the report tomorrow. Imagine it's tomorrow morning. You've just finished your coffee. You sit at your desk. How do you actually feel when you open that blank document? What are the distractions? What are the feelings of resistance that will inevitably pop up? By making the future more concrete, you can make a more realistic decision in the present. But the second, and arguably more powerful strategy, is to simply expect to be wrong. You must accept that you will probably not feel more like it tomorrow. And here is the crucial mind shift. Your motivational state does not need to match your intention in order to act. Let that sink in. You do not have to feel like doing something to do it. Successful athletes don't only train on sunny days they feel great. They train in the rain when they're sore because that's what the schedule demands. Parents don't only change diapers when they feel like it. You can acknowledge the feeling of not wanting to do something, and then you can choose to act anyway. You can decouple your actions from your feelings. This is the essence of maturity and effective self-regulation. The power of just getting started. If you can't rely on feeling like it, then what can you rely on? The answer is one of the most powerful and counterintuitive strategies for overcoming procrastination. Just get started. This sounds like a paradox, doesn't it? My problem is, I can't get started, and your solution is to get started. But there's a profound psychological truth at work here. Dr. Feichel's research using experience sampling data, paging people throughout the day to see what they were doing and how they were feeling, revealed something fascinating. When people were avoiding a task, they perceived it as extremely stressful, difficult, and unpleasant. But once they actually started working on that same task, their perceptions changed dramatically. The task was rated as significantly less stressful, less difficult, and often surprisingly interesting or even enjoyable. What does this tell us? The pain is primarily in the anticipation, not in the doing. The dread we feel is often far worse than the reality of the task itself. Once we begin, that cloud of negative emotion starts to dissipate. But that's not all. Getting started does something else incredibly powerful. It changes our perception of ourselves. When you are avoiding a task, you might be telling yourself a story. I'm lazy. I'm not disciplined. I can't do this. But the moment you take one small step, a new story begins to form. Hey, I'm doing it. I can do this. Even a tiny amount of progress boosts our sense of control and optimism. Research by Ken Sheldon shows that progress on our goals, no matter how small, makes us feel happier and more satisfied with life. This positive emotion then fuels further motivation and action, creating an upward spiral of success. The trick is to lower the barrier to entry so much that getting started feels almost effortless. Don't think about writing the whole report. Just think about opening the document and writing one sentence. Don't think about cleaning the entire garage. Just think about putting one tool back on the shelf. The old saying is true, a job begun is a job half done. Your only goal should be to take that first step. Making it happen, implementation intentions. Knowing you need to just get started is one thing. Actually doing it in the face of resistance is another. How do we translate this knowledge into consistent action? This is where Dr. Feichel introduces another powerful tool from the psychology of action, developed by researcher Peter Gollwitzer: implementation intentions. A goal intention is simply stating what you want to achieve, e.g., I will write my thesis. An implementation intention is much more specific. It's a predecision that links a situational cue with a desired behavior, following a simple if-then format. For example, if it is 9 a.m. and I have finished my coffee, then I will open my thesis document and write for 15 minutes. Why is this so effective? It takes the decision-making out of the moment. You're not relying on your future self's depleted willpower to make the right choice. You've already made the choice. You've delegated control of your behavior to the situation itself. When the cue happens, finishing your coffee, the action follows almost automatically, bypassing the internal negotiation and the emotional resistance. It essentially turns your desired action into a non-conscious habit. You can use implementation intentions to get started, but you can also use them to deal with the inevitable distractions, obstacles, and setbacks that threaten to derail you once you've begun. To start, if it's Tuesday evening after dinner, then I will immediately put on my running shoes. To handle distractions, if my friend texts me to go out while I'm studying, then I will reply, "Thanks, but I'm committed to finishing this chapter." To deal with obstacles, if I get stuck and don't know what to write next, then I will simply list 3 bullet points about what I do know and move on. By anticipating these challenges and making a pre-decision about how you will respond, you are equipping yourself to stay on track. You're no longer just hoping you'll have the willpower. You're creating a concrete plan for success. Conclusion: forgive, commit, and begin again. What is the final piece of the procrastination puzzle, according to Dr. Feichel? It might be the most surprising of all: self-forgiveness. When we procrastinate, we often beat ourselves up. We get caught in a spiral of guilt and self-criticism. But Feichel's research reveals a powerful truth. Students who forgave themselves for procrastinating on their first exam were less likely to procrastinate on the next one. Forgiveness, not guilt, is what helps us get back on track. Why? Guilt and shame are negative emotions. And what do we do when we feel negative emotions? We look for a way to escape them, often by procrastinating more. Forgiveness breaks this toxic cycle. It allows us to let go of the past failure and re-engage with our goals with a fresh perspective. So, what have we learned from solving the procrastination puzzle? We've learned that our struggle is not with time, but with our feelings. We've uncovered the truth that we delay tasks to feel better in the short term, a strategy that backfires spectacularly. We've seen through the illusion that a more motivated version of ourselves is waiting just around the corner. And we've discovered the profound power of simply getting started, no matter how we feel. We've been given a set of powerful science-backed tools: understanding our emotional triggers, using implementation intentions to automate our actions, and practicing self-forgiveness to break the cycle of guilt. The journey to overcoming procrastination is not a one-time fix. It's a process of self-awareness and strategic action. It's about being kind but firm with yourself. It's about taking that first small step and then another, and forgiving yourself when you stumble. It's a journey of, as Dr. Feichel would say, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But the key is to keep stepping, to just begin. And then, when necessary, to just begin again. Book 3, Stop Procrastinating, a simple guide by Niels Salzgeber. The monkey in your mind. There's a startling statistic floating around the modern world. The average person today is working at 110% to 130% of their capacity, and they are interrupted, on average, every 11 minutes. In the 1970s, only about 5% of people identified as chronic procrastinators. Today, that number has exploded to over 25%. What happened? What changed so dramatically in just a few decades? The answer is all around us. It's in our pockets, on our desks, and in our living rooms. The answer is the relentless, dazzling, and infinitely distracting allure of modern technology. But the technology itself isn't the true enemy. The true battle is happening inside our own minds. This is the core message from Niels Salzgeber, co-founder of the popular personal development website NJ Life Hacks and author of Stop Procrastinating, a simple guide to hacking laziness, building self-discipline, and overcoming procrastination. Salzgeber isn't just an academic researcher, he's a self-proclaimed former worst procrastinator imaginable, who took a deep, personal dive into the science of delay to solve his own crippling habits. His journey from being unable to get anything done to building successful online businesses forms the backbone of his incredibly practical and relatable guide. In his book, Salzgeber introduces us to a powerful and memorable analogy for the force inside us that drives procrastination. The instant gratification monkey. This monkey, he explains, lives in all our brains, and its only goal is to feel good right now. It wants to avoid anything that feels hard, boring, or uncomfortable, and instead chase easy, fun, and pleasurable activities. In this audio summary of Stop Procrastinating, we will learn how to understand and manage this inner monkey. We will explore why procrastination is fundamentally a battle between our rational self and our impulsive monkey self. We'll dissect the crucial role of willpower as the muscle we use to veto the monkey's demands, and we'll learn practical, long-term strategies to strengthen that muscle. We'll uncover why self-criticism is the monkey's best friend and how self-compassion is its kryptonite. And we'll arm ourselves with an arsenal of old-school but effective tactics, like carrots and sticks, to outsmart our primal urges. Are you ready to meet the monkey in your mind and finally learn how to take back the controls? Meet the monkey. The battle between impulse and reason. Imagine your brain has 2 drivers. At the wheel is your rational self. This is the part of you that makes plans, sets goals, and thinks about your long-term future. It wants you to be healthy, successful, and happy. It knows you need to exercise, work on that important project, and do your taxes. But sitting right next to your rational self, constantly trying to grab the steering wheel, is the instant gratification monkey. This monkey analogy, which Salzgeber borrows from a popular TED Talk by Tim Urban, is a brilliant way to understand the internal conflict that defines procrastination. The monkey operates on a single, simple principle: avoid pain, seek pleasure, and do it now. The future. The monkey doesn't understand the future. It doesn't care about your long-term goals. It only cares about immediate gratification. So when your rational self says, "Okay, time to work on that challenging report," the monkey screeches, "Report? That sounds hard and boring. Let's watch YouTube videos instead. You can do the report tomorrow." Procrastination, Salzgeber argues, is what happens when you listen to the monkey. It's the moment your impulsive, emotional, short-term focused brain overrules your logical, rational, long-term focused brain. But what happens when you don't listen to the monkey? That, Salzgeber says, is an act of willpower. Willpower is the force you exert to veto the monkey's demands. It's the capacity to forego the pleasures of the moment for the potential benefits of the future. If you are a chronic procrastinator, it simply means you are losing this battle too often. Your monkey is in charge most of the time. Now, why does the monkey revolt so strongly against certain tasks? Because those tasks make us feel bad. They inspire feelings of dread, anxiety, boredom, or frustration. Salzgeber, echoing Dr. Feichel, emphasizes that procrastination is always about emotions. The tasks we put off are the ones that trigger negative feelings. The monkey can't stand these feelings, so it urges us to run away and do something, anything that feels better. Checking your email, scrolling social media, playing a game, these are all mood repair strategies. The problem is, this mood repair is dangerously short-lived. Sooner or later, the guilt kicks in. You realize you've wasted hours, you're now further behind, and on top of the original negative feelings about the task, you now feel shame and disappointment. This is the classic procrastination, guilt-procrastination loop. The initial delay leads to guilt, which makes you feel worse, which makes the monkey's desire to escape even stronger, leading to more procrastination. Once you're in that loop, it's incredibly difficult to escape. Taming the monkey. Part 1. Willpower, Health, and Simplicity. If procrastination is a willpower failure, then the logical solution is to strengthen our willpower. But how? Salzgeber presents willpower not as a vague moral virtue, but as a real, measurable, and trainable resource, much like a muscle. Drawing on the extensive research of Dr. Roy Baumeister, he explains that our willpower is finite. It gets fatigued with use throughout the day. Every decision you make, every temptation you resist, every emotion you suppress, it all depletes your willpower tank. This is why you're much more likely to skip the gym and eat junk food after a long, stressful day at work. Your willpower muscle is exhausted. And what fuels this muscle? The answer is surprisingly physical: blood sugar. Research shows that acts of self-control lower our blood glucose levels. No glucose, no willpower. The implications are profound. If you want to overcome procrastination, you must prioritize your physical health and energy levels. Salzgeber argues that the more energy you have, the less you'll struggle with procrastination. This means getting enough sleep, exercising regularly, and eating a healthy diet that provides a steady supply of energy, not the roller coaster of sugar highs and crashes. Optimizing your health is a foundational, non-negotiable step to taming the monkey. The second strategy for preserving your precious willpower is to simplify your life. Why? Because every decision you make drains your willpower tank. This is a phenomenon known as decision fatigue. The more choices you face, the worse your judgment becomes, and the less self-control you have for the things that truly matter. So, how do you simplify? Plan your day the night before. Decide what you're going to wear, what you'll eat, and what your most important task is before you go to bed. This removes dozens of small decisions from your morning, preserving your willpower for your frog. Eat the same meals. Find a few healthy meals you enjoy and cycle through them. This eliminates the daily "what's for dinner" debate. Minimize your wardrobe. Salzgeber points to figures like Steve Jobs and Barack Obama, who famously wore the same outfits to reduce decision fatigue. The less you have to think about what to wear, the more mental energy you have for bigger challenges. By proactively managing your energy and reducing the number of decisions you have to make, you are strategically preserving your willpower for the main event: the battle with the monkey. Taming the monkey. Part 2. Awareness, Forgiveness, and Emotion. Surfing beyond physical energy, Taming the monkey requires mastering our mental and emotional states. The first step, Salzgeber insists, is awareness. You cannot fix a problem if you're not aware of what's going wrong. Most of us run on autopilot, blindly following the monkey's impulses without even realizing it. We need to become curious scientists of our own behavior. A powerful tool for this is keeping a procrastination log. Track the activities you avoid, the excuses you make, the emotions you feel, and the distractions that pull you away. This record will help you see recurring patterns, learn from your mistakes, and prepare better for the next time. The more awareness you have about the specifics of your procrastination, the better equipped you'll be to change. Next comes a crucial, counterintuitive strategy: the power of self-compassion. What do most of us do when we procrastinate? We beat ourselves up. We engage in harsh self-criticism. We think this toughness will motivate us, but research shows the opposite is true. Self-criticism is strongly linked to depression and less motivation. A fascinating study showed that students who were harder on themselves for procrastinating on their first exam were more likely to procrastinate on the next one. It was forgiveness, not guilt, that helped them get back on track. Why? Because self-criticism creates a fear of failure. It makes the stakes feel impossibly high. To protect our self-worth, we engage in self-handicapping, and procrastination is a primary form of self-handicapping. If we delay until the last minute, we can blame our failure on a lack of time, not a lack of ability. Self-compassion, on the other hand, creates a safe space to fail. It removes the fear. When you know that you will treat yourself with kindness and understanding. Even if you don't succeed, you are much more willing to take risks and get started in the first place. So next time you catch yourself procrastinating, forgive yourself. Acknowledge that it happens to everyone. Treat yourself like you would a good friend. Finally, Salzgeber introduces a mindfulness-based technique he calls emotion surfing. Remember, procrastination is an attempt to escape negative feelings. Emotion surfing is about learning to stay with those feelings instead of running away. When you feel the urge to procrastinate, the resistance, the anxiety, just stop. Don't react. Stay put. Observe the sensations in your body without judgment. Urges, like waves, start small, build to a peak, and then naturally subside. If you can ride out that wave of discomfort for just a minute or two, its power over you will dramatically decrease, and you will be able to take effective action. The toolkit: carrots, sticks, and simple plans. Understanding: the monkey is one thing, outsmarting it on a daily basis is another. Salzgeber provides a host of practical, actionable strategies to win the daily battles. First, the magic of a simple plan. He champions the use of implementation intentions, the if-then plans we also saw in Dr. Feichel's work. By predetermining how you'll act in a specific future situation. If I get home from work, then I will immediately put on my gym clothes. You are programming your unconscious mind to act automatically, conserving your precious willpower. Next, he reminds us of the old school but highly effective power of carrots and sticks. The monkey only understands immediate consequences, so we have to create them. You can promise yourself a reward, the carrot, for completing a task, like watching an episode of your favorite show after you finish an hour of work. Even better is temptation bundling, where you pair something you want to do with something you need to do. For example, only allowing yourself to listen to your favorite podcast while you're exercising. Then there's the stick: making procrastination pay. This involves creating a commitment contract, often with a friend or a third-party website like stick.com. You put something valuable on the line, say $100 that you will lose if you don't complete your task by the deadline. Because of our natural loss aversion, the pain of losing $100 is much stronger than the pleasure of gaining it. This can be a powerful motivator. Finally, we must address the primary source of the monkey's power in the modern world: distractions. Salzgeber is blunt. Proximity to temptation is one of the deadliest determinants of procrastination. We must learn to eliminate or complicate our distractions. Block distracting websites using tools like cold turkey. Delete distracting apps from your phone. Sell your video game console. Make it harder to access your vices, and you'll be less likely to indulge. You must also mold your environment. Remove anything that triggers the urge to procrastinate, and fill your space with triggers for work and focus. Out of sight, out of mind is the mantra. Conclusion: taking action is everything. Neil Salzgeber's Stop Procrastinating is a powerful blend of personal experience, psychological research, and brutally honest, practical advice. He teaches us that the battle against procrastination is not a fight against a character flaw, but a strategic negotiation with the impulsive, pleasure-seeking monkey that lives within all of us. We've learned that this monkey is fueled by negative emotions and a constant barrage of modern distractions. To tame it, we must become masters of our own psychology and architects of our environment. We must build our willpower like a muscle, protecting our energy through healthy habits and simplifying our lives to avoid decision fatigue. We must learn to observe our own patterns with the clear eyes of a scientist, using tools like the procrastination log. We must replace the whip of self-criticism with the warmth of self-compassion, and learn to surf the uncomfortable waves of emotion rather than being drowned by them. And we have filled our toolkit with concrete strategies, the preemptive power of implementation intentions, the immediate consequences of carrots and sticks, and the crucial discipline of eliminating distractions. Salzgeber's journey is a testament to the fact that change is possible. No matter how hopeless you feel, no matter how deeply ingrained your habits of delay are, there is a way to procrastinate less and live more. But as Salzgeber emphasizes in his final thoughts, knowledge is useless without action. You can read all the books in the world, but nothing will change unless you apply what you've learned. The last thing the monkey wants you to do right now is implement these tactics. It wants you to feel good about having read this, and then go watch some TV. Don't listen to it. Take one strategy, just one, and apply it right now. Install a website blocker. Write down one implementation intention. Tell a friend about a commitment contract you want to create. Take the leap from knowing to doing. That, Salzgeber teaches us, is what separates the dreamers from the winners. Book 4, Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg. The Myth of Radical Transformation, Ph.D. How many New Year's resolutions have you made in your lifetime? And how many have you kept? If you're like most people, there's a painful gap between your ambitions and your reality. We live in a culture that worships the grand gesture, the radical transformation, the go big or go home mentality. We believe that to change our lives, we need a massive surge of motivation and an iron will. But what if that entire approach is fundamentally wrong? What if the secret to lasting change isn't in the seismic shift, but in the smallest, most imperceptible tremor? This is the revolutionary idea at the heart of Tiny Habits, the small changes that change everything, by Dr. B.J. Fogg, a behavior scientist at Stanford University and the founder of the Behavior Design Lab. For over 2 decades, Dr. Fogg has been cracking the code of human behavior, and his work has influenced the design of products and services used by millions, including Instagram, which was co-founded by one of his former students. He's personally coached over 40,000 people and has come to a stunning conclusion. People change best by feeling good, not by feeling bad. He argues that when we fail to change, it's not our fault. We are not the problem. Our approach to change is. It's a design flaw, not a personal flaw. In this final part of our audiobook summary, we will explore Dr. Fogg's groundbreaking system for behavior change. We will learn his simple but profound behavior model, BMAP, which states that behavior happens when motivation, ability, and a prompt converge at the same moment. We'll see why focusing on motivation is often a trap, and why the real key is to make new behaviors incredibly easy to do. We'll discover the power of anchors, using existing routines to prompt new habits, and the critical, often overlooked role of celebration in wiring new habits into our brains. This isn't about willpower or repetition. It's about designing your life one tiny, joyful habit at a time. Are you ready to learn how the smallest changes can, in fact, change everything? The Fogg Behavior Model. B. Chakra Map. At the core of Dr. Fogg's work is a simple, elegant model that explains all human behavior, from brushing your teeth to running a marathon. It's called the Fogg Behavior Model, and the formula is B. Chakra Map. Behavior happens when three elements come together at the same time. Motivation, your desire to do the behavior. Ability, your capacity to do the behavior. Prompt, the cue or trigger to do the behavior. If any one of these three elements is missing, the behavior will not happen. It's that simple. Let's say your phone rings, the prompt. If you want to answer it, motivation, and you can reach it easily, ability, you will perform the behavior of answering the phone. But if your motivation is 0, it's an unknown number and you don't want to talk. Or if your ability is 0, the phone is in another room and you can't get to it in time, the behavior won't happen no matter how loud the prompt is. This model reveals a crucial insight. Most of us, when we want to change a behavior, instinctively focus on motivation. We try to pump ourselves up, find the right incentive, or use guilt to force ourselves into action. But Dr. Fogg shows us that motivation is the most volatile and unreliable of the three elements. It's like a party animal friend. Fun when it shows up, but you can't count on it. It comes in waves, what he calls the motivation wave. And it's great for doing hard things once, like cleaning out the entire garage on a burst of inspiration. But you can't ride that wave every day. So, if motivation is the wrong place to start, where should we focus? The answer is ability. This is where we have the most control. Fogg's maxim is, simplicity changes behavior. The easier a behavior is to do, the more likely it will become a habit. This is the cornerstone of the Tiny Habits method. When a behavior is hard to do, you need a very high level of motivation to get it done. But when a behavior is easy, you can do it even when your motivation is low. The goal, then, is to take the habit you want and shrink it down until it's so easy, so tiny, that it requires almost no motivation at all. The anatomy of a tiny habit: anchor, behavior, celebration. Dr. Fogg provides a simple three-part recipe for designing a new habit that works with our psychology, not against it. 1. The anchor moment. This is the prompt. But instead of relying on unreliable sticky notes or phone alarms, context prompts, or our own faulty memory, person prompts, the Tiny Habits method uses something you already do. An anchor is an existing, stable routine in your life that you use as a reminder for your new habit. The secret, Fogg discovered, is the power of after. The new habit should come immediately after an existing one. For example, after I brush my teeth, after I pour my morning coffee, after I put my head on the pillow. These are solid routines you do without thinking. By tethering your new habit to an existing anchor, you are embedding it into the natural flow of your day. 2. The new tiny behavior. This is the ability part, made incredibly small. You take the golden behavior you want, like exercising every day, and scale it back to its tiniest version. Instead of go for a 30-minute run, the tiny behavior is put on my running shoes, a starter step. Instead of meditate for 20 minutes, the tiny behavior is take 3 deep breaths, scaling back. Instead of floss all my teeth, the tiny behavior is floss 1 tooth. The rule is that the behavior should take less than 30 seconds. The goal isn't to achieve a massive result on day 1. The goal is to make the behavior so easy that you can do it even on your worst, most unmotivated day. This builds consistency, and consistency is what allows the habit's roots to grow deep. 3. Instant celebration. This is the secret ingredient, the one that makes the whole system work. And it addresses the motivation part of the model, but in a completely new way. Immediately after you perform your tiny behavior, you must celebrate. A celebration is anything that creates a positive emotion inside you, a feeling of success. Fogg calls this feeling shine. You can say, awesome. You can do a little fist pump. You can smile at yourself in the mirror. It can be physical or silent, big or small, but it must be immediate and it must feel authentic to you. Why is this so critical? Because emotions create habits. When you feel good about doing something, your brain releases dopamine, which rewires your neural pathways and makes that behavior more automatic in the future. It's not repetition that creates habits. It's the positive emotion you link to the behavior. By celebrating, you are hacking your brain's reward system to want to do the habit again. You are helping yourself feel successful, and that feeling is the most powerful motivator of all. So the full tiny habit recipe looks like this. After I anchor, I will tiny behavior. Then I will immediately celebrate. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will do 2 push-ups. Then I'll give myself a thumbs up and say, good job. From tiny to transformative, how habits grow and multiply. You might be thinking, okay, flossing one tooth is easy, but how does that help me achieve my real goals? This is where Dr. Fogg explains the magic of scaling. Tiny habits don't stay tiny forever. They expand in 2 natural ways. They grow and they multiply. A habit grows when the behavior itself gets bigger. You start by flossing one tooth, but because your hands are already there and you're feeling successful, most days you'll naturally do a few more. Soon, you're flossing all your teeth without even thinking about it. You start with 2 push-ups, and as you get stronger and more confident, you start doing more. The key is to never raise the bar officially. The requirement is always just the tiny version. Anything more is extra credit. This removes all pressure and allows the habit to grow organically at your own pace. Habits also multiply. When you succeed with one tiny habit, it creates what Fogg calls success momentum. You start to see yourself differently. This is the power of identity shift. You no longer see yourself as the kind of person who can't stick to an exercise routine. After a week of successfully putting on your running shoes every morning, you start to see yourself as the kind of person who is a runner. This new identity makes it easier to adopt other related behaviors. A person who is a runner also drinks more water, stretches, and eats healthier food. One tiny habit can create a positive ripple effect, spawning a whole constellation of new, healthy behaviors that crowd out the old, unwanted ones. This process untangles our most stubborn bad habits without a direct fight. Instead of breaking a bad habit, which Fogg argues is a flawed metaphor, you untangle it, one specific behavior at a time, often by making the good behavior an easier and more attractive option. Conclusion: the power to change is yours. Tiny Habits offers more than just a method. It offers a new philosophy of change. It asks us to abandon the all-or-nothing mindset that sets us up for failure, and to embrace a process of small, incremental, and joyful progress. It teaches us that change is not a mysterious force, but a skill we can learn and master. We've learned the fundamental equation of behavior, B mater MAPI, and understood that the key to consistency lies not in heroic feats of motivation, but in the elegant simplicity of making behaviors easy to do. We've discovered the anatomy of a perfect habit, a solid anchor that fits naturally into our day, a tiny behavior that's almost effortless to perform, and an immediate celebration that makes our brain say, let's do that again. Most profoundly, we've learned that we change best by feeling good. The feeling of success, the shine that comes from celebrating our tiny victories, is the catalyst that transforms small actions into lasting habits and shifts our very identity. It gives us the confidence and momentum to untangle our most deeply rooted bad habits and to build a life that aligns with our highest aspirations. Dr. Fogg's message is one of empowerment and hope. You don't need to wait for a lightning bolt of inspiration or a magical burst of willpower. The power to change is already within you, accessible in the small, quiet moments of your everyday life. By starting tiny, you can create a ripple of positive change that will grow, multiply, and ultimately transform everything. A fast recap for all 4 books. We have journeyed through the minds of giants. We've dissected the machinery of delay, laid bare the anatomy of action, and armed ourselves with the strategies of the world's most effective people. We began this exploration confronting a thief, procrastination, the silent robber of our time and our potential. But after this journey, do you see the truth? The thief isn't some external force we must battle. The thief is a set of flawed instructions, a series of misunderstandings about how we, as human beings, truly operate. And here's the most crucial part. The prison of procrastination isn't locked from the outside. The key has been in our pocket all along. Think about the path we've traveled together. With Brian Tracy, we learned to be ruthless strategists. He handed us the battle plan, teaching us to identify our single most important objective, our biggest, ugliest frog, and to attack it with ferocious, single-minded clarity. He taught us that success isn't about doing everything, it's about doing the right thing first. No excuses. But a battle plan is useless if your soldiers refuse to leave the barracks. And why do they refuse? Dr. Timothy Feichel gave us the answer, taking us deep into the psychology of our own minds. He revealed the enemy's secret. Procrastination is not laziness. It is an emotional escape. It's our brain's primitive, misguided attempt to run from the discomfort of a task. We give in to feel good, seeking the fleeting relief of later, only to be ambushed by the crushing guilt of never. Then, Niels Salzgeber introduced us to the mischievous saboteur within, the instant gratification monkey. He showed us the constant tug-of-war between our rational self, which plans for the future, and this primal creature that only craves what is easy and fun right now. He taught us that willpower is a muscle, one that can be drained, but also one that can be trained, and that self-compassion is the ultimate shield against the monkey's guilt-fueled attacks. And finally, Dr. B.J. Fogg from Stanford dismantled the entire myth of radical, painful change. He showed us that transformation doesn't come from a lightning strike of motivation. It emerges from the soil of simplicity. He gave us the universal code of behavior, B-MAPI, and handed us the most elegant of solutions. Start tiny. Anchor new behaviors to old ones. And most importantly, celebrate your success to create shine, hacking your own brain to crave the very habits you want to build. So what does this all mean for you right now? Can you see how these philosophies are not separate, but are in fact 4 parts of a single, powerful symphony of action? This is where it all comes together. Use Brian Tracy's piercing clarity to identify your A1 frog for the day. That is your target. But don't be paralyzed by its size. Instead, apply B.J. Fogg's genius. Ask yourself, what is the tiniest possible version of this task I can do in under 30 seconds? Is it opening the document? Writing a single sentence? Putting on your running shoes? Make the first step so small that the monkey in your mind barely even notices. As you face that tiny step, you might still feel that flicker of resistance Dr. Feichel described. The emotional static of, I don't feel like it. Don't fight it, and don't run from it. Use the emotion surfing technique from Niels Salzgeber. Acknowledge the feeling. Stay with it for a moment. Watch as the wave of resistance crests and then, as it always does, begins to fade. Now take your tiny, simple action, and the very second you complete it, the instant the shoe is on, the sentence is written, the document is open, you must do the most important thing of all: celebrate. Feel that surge of shine that Dr. Fogg talks about. Give yourself a fist pump. Say, awesome. Feel successful. You are not celebrating the completion of the entire project. You are celebrating the fact that you showed up. You kept a promise to yourself. You are becoming the kind of person who takes action. This is the cycle. This is the system. Clarity on what matters, making the first step impossibly small and rewarding your brain for taking it. Each tiny success doesn't just move you forward, it rewires your identity. It weakens the old neural pathways of delay and strengthens the new ones of action. It starves the instant gratification monkey and feeds your rational, powerful self. For too long, we've been told a lie. The lie is that change is hard, that it requires superhuman willpower and painful sacrifice. This lie benefits those who sell quick fixes and complicated programs. But the truth is simpler and infinitely more powerful. The truth is that you change best by feeling good, not by feeling bad. The journey out of procrastination is not a sprint. It is the gentle, consistent placement of one small stone after another, until you have built a bridge over the chasm of delay. You have the blueprint, you have the tools. You now understand the science, the psychology, and the strategy. So the final question is not if you can change, but what will be your first tiny step? What is the one small action you can take right now to begin building the life you deserve? Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait until you feel like it. That day will never come. Start now. Start tiny. And celebrate. Your journey of 1,000 miles does not have to be a struggle. It can be a joy. If this audiobook summary has sparked a fire in you, don't let it fade. Go to the source. Read Eat That Frog, Solving the Procrastination Puzzle, Stop Procrastinating, and Tiny Habits to Deepen Your Understanding and Master These Life-Changing Skills. Your future self is waiting. Don't keep them waiting any longer.